背中押しますよナンバーワン誰より強くなりたかった
The chapter starts with Deku thinking that he has to break free from Lida's hand, but he has no power left. At that moment Ochako released her quirk, so Deku and Lida were both free falling. Iida worried that they could land safely, but Kirishima was there to catch them. At that moment Kirishima told Deku, back in the day, when they were still middle schoolers, he heard that there's a guy who ran off to save a friend. He asked Deku if it was him. Kirishima told him that the Deku at that amazed their answer. Iida asked how his Tamin could be so nice, and Kirishima told him it was Endeavor's order. The rest of the class approached them and Mina told Deku to come back with them. Deku said he wanted to, but he is scared and doesn't want to cause trouble for other people. He continued saying that he can't go back to how things used to be. At that time Bakugo asked him if he remembered what he said after he got impaled by Shigaraki. Deku told him no, and Bakugo reminded him it was don't try to win this on your own. He said that there's still more, because when his body moved on its own and he got impaled he thought to himself that he must tell Deku something. Deku had always been someone whom he looked down upon because Deku was quirkless. But although Deku should be far behind him, Bakugo felt that somehow he was far ahead of him. He didn't like that, he didn't want to see it, and he didn't want to admit it. That's why he wanted to keep Deku at arm's length, get him as far away from him as possible, so he bullied him. Bakugo wanted to deny Deku, so he tried Tobe in a superior spot. But he admitted that hellest. After they entered UA, nothing went according to how Bakugo had planned. Every day was filled with realizing Deku's strengths and understanding his own weaknesses. Bakugo said, even though he said all this, he knows that it wouldn't do any justice, but this is his real feelings. He then said to Izuku, sorry for everything, until now. Bakugo continued by saying that the path Deku and All Might took was not wrong. But right now Deku is unsteady, and there are things that even ideals, All Might cannot surpass. So for the things Deku could handle he wants Deku to let them handle it. In order to surpass All Might, the ideal hero he will save Deku, refugees in UA, and the civilians to win, save to win. The narration starts, Deku is saying that all of his classmates were already leagues ahead of him. Then he starts regretting what he said in the last chapter about how they can't keep up with him. He says he's sorry, and suddenly his body gives in, but Bakugo catches him for he hits the ground saying we know you are. They all look tired, and Relovid Momo says they resolved the first problem but the next one may be even harder. Deku opens his eyes, and the students heard War No. 13, who's not wearing her helmet. She tells him that almost all of the Pacific civilians have been allocated under some evacuation area, and the ones outside are mostly groups of anti-hero protesters or extremists that have gone wild alongside the jailbreakers. More and more protesters are giving up, and the extremists are easy targets, so the situation is getting better. She says Deku's solo journey really helped the heroes, and the police. THEUA barrier is now active, and it looks like a giant iron fortress. Sero comments that this is just a taste of what it can actually do. When the system is activated it even connects to Shiketsu High. Deku is still worried about going back to UA and he's not the only one, because lots of civilians are. They say he's the one Shigaraki is going after and that everyone's talking about it. President Mick tries to calm them down, but it's useless. They continue saying that the principal guaranteed they'd be safe, and that's why they left their houses. Deku starts to walk away, but Ochako holds his hand and stops him. She says everything will be alright, and her narration begins. She says that Bakugo, Lida and everyone made this possible, and now they won't let him go once again, they won't let go of his hand. The chapter ends with Ochako questioning who'll save heroes when they're in pain. Ends of the chapter.